And here we go. We are live. So a couple of things that we got to talk about. Trying to get things started here. Won't be live too long just because, you know, it's a quick subject, but I just kind of just wanted to talk about it. I mean, it's something that I'm into. It's something that, you know, I follow closely. And as the title says, Google is going to upgrade the kernel on Tensor-based pixels in the future. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of what that means. I pulled up an article from a site that, you know, I thoroughly enjoy reading. And oh, there goes my dogs again. And that is 9 to 5 Google, but there are various other publications that are talking about the same thing. And yeah, so we'll go through the article of what it says, what what they feel that Google's intending to do, and then we'll just kind of break it down a little bit before signing out. So yeah, how are you guys doing today? It's Friday, right? We got other people that's going to be doing live streams. I think everyone kind of aims for Fridays, which is why I don't want to do one so long. Not trying to cut into people's times, but this is something that I feel like that, you know, I would love for people to know about. And shout out to Gene, because, you know, I was reading up on this and it's so funny. Like I was reading up on this and then I got like a Twitter direct message. And it was Gene. It was Gene who was just like, hey, take a look at this, you know? So I was like, oh yeah, everyone's talking about it. Exactly, it's Friday. Yeah. Yeah, in Hawaii, it's Aloha Friday. Reminds everybody that the weekend's upon us and everything like that. That's old school stuff, and we're not here to really talk about that. Yeah, anyways, so let me just kind of just close out the chat overlay. We'll keep that out. And let me bring up the article so we can just dive right into it. Those that catch the replay, like, cool, awesome sauce. You'll be golden. All right, so this is the article that I'm actually talking about. Yeah, I know about that. But anyways, yeah, so here we go. Google Tensor powered Pixel devices appear to be getting a rare kernel upgrade. Now, why do they call this rare? Well, it's because it's not every day that Google really focuses on the kernel when it comes to, you know, not just Pixels, but Android in general. Okay. Towards the end of this live stream, I'll tell you guys what my favorite kernel was and for what device and why. Maybe it might jog some people's memories as to how important kernels are. But anyway, so we'll go into the article first and see what they describe here. It says one of the biggest selling points of a Pixel device is usually the cadence at which Google releases new software updates. Yeah, we already know that. I took this excerpt from this article. Specifically, the evidence presented suggests an update to version 6.1, which was released in December of 2022, and is the second to newest version of the kernel, with 6.6 having released in October of 2023. See. For one, this update would put all Tensor-powered pixels on the same kernel. Pixel 6 and forward all ran on version 5.10 until the launch of the Pixel 8, with the 8 and 8 Pro running version 5.15. One of the comments notes that some Pixel devices will be released with the versions 5.15 on Android 15, basically. Call it Android V. I guess we got like a little idea of like what they're going to be calling Android. Android 15, they call it Android V. But this also suggests that the timeline at play here is not in an immediate future, but rather sometime after Android 15's release. So probably in 2026. Generally speaking, kernel updates won't change much on the user interface or user-facing side, but the kernel can have big impacts on how your device runs. Everything from battery life to performance can be impacted, which is why custom kernels were a pretty popular aspect of the days when Android modding was more popular. I love how they kind of include that at the end. I'll take this as an excerpt and post it in the chat, but I'm just going to kind of go over why this is significantly important and why I think it's a good idea that, Google finally actually looked at this. Like, why they, like, as you heard, it is, it plays a big part. Battery life and the way that the device functions. But to kind of give it in layman's terms for people to understand, the kernel is like the bridge between software and hardware. So if you have a processing chip, right? The processing chip does all these commands and everything like that executed because with the kernel's bridge between the software and the hardware will allow it. That's how hardware speaks to software. The kernel is the middleman between all that. And it will impact battery life. It will impact performance. It will impact cameras. It will impact a lot of, because it is allowing the software to talk to the hardware and for the hardware to reciprocate back, right? Think of it like, you have two paper cups, okay? Think of it like you have two paper cups, and one of the paper cups literally is the hardware. The other paper cup is the software, and you poke a hole on either side of on each cup, and you tie a string to it, and you connect one cup to the other. That string is the kernel. It's what allows things to transfer back and forth as far as communication between hardware and software. So it's a very, very important thing when it comes to Android, because this was part of the reason why Android way back in the day was just super, super buggy. This was why. I don't remember how, Restream did everything differently. I wonder what I'm trying to do here. Restream did a lot of things differently, but oh well. So anyhow, that is, that is a big thing. So we never really hear Google really just kind of talk about the kernel, updating the kernel, or any of those things, right? It's always been about hardware, and it's always been about software. The latest version of Android, the latest pixel drop features, and then the hardware itself, this camera sensor, this ultra wide camera sensor, this telephoto sensor, this battery life, this, if it had an IR blaster, then they talk about that. If it, if the phone could be a little miniature transformer, like in, Transformers, the first movie, the little Nokia in the box, that would be something that they focus and they talk about, right? Like iPhones talk about their hardware and software. Android, basically Google talks about it. Any other mobile OS platform out there pretty much talks about software and then the hardware that it's connected to, but no one really ever focuses on kernel. Like, you never really see it. Hell, when I make videos talking about the next version of Android and stuff like that, I don't mention the kernel because I don't see a lot of people happy about or wanting to know about the kernel or like what is coming. And there is something here. What up, Sneed? There is something that, I find strange I find strange in the fact that, yes, we're getting an upgrade probably in 2026 to all Tensor-based pixels with not really an updated kernel because they're going to the Linux-based 6.1 instead of 6.6. I find that strange. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. For me, what I question about this is that, it's no secret. It's kind of had, a little steam behind it, and it kind of died down. But we were really getting info about Project Fuchsia, which would eventually become Fuchsia OS, right? We've been hearing about Fuchsia for a long time. But as I stated in my videos, if you guys want to look back at them and listen to them, as I stated in my videos covering Fuchsia, there was a few times I mentioned about the new kernel that Google was developing for Fuchsia. That kernel is called Zircon. And I kind of am questioning things now, like, what is the progress of this kernel build? What's the progress of it? Because, what up, B-Tech? And the reason why I question this is because when I read up about Project Fuchsia OS, and people were wondering, is this going to replace Android? How's this going to work out? And then we come to find out that Google had no intentions of replacing Android with Fuchsia OS. Initially, they were building the software to run on IoTs, like smart refrigerators, smart washers, smart displays, whatever they can make smarter. A smart toaster would run Fuchsia OS. And they slowly rolled this out for people that had like the what do you call those? The Nest Hub. You guys remember those? They were originally like, the Google Nest Hub with the smart display. They rolled it out to that for people to try it out, and they rolled it out quietly because you didn't get notified when this software rolled out. You didn't get notified at all. Really, what happened was just like, you went to sleep, and the next morning your smart display was already updated to Fuchsia OS. And so when Fuchsia was being talked about, one of the things that they said that Fuchsia would be like 5 to 10 times faster than Android. And I was like, okay, when I heard that statement, I was like, so what kernel are they going to be using? What is it that they're going to be using that allows the software to talk to the hardware and get a much faster response in executing commands? And that came up with, they developed and built their own kernel. What up, Gadget Beard? They developed and built their own kernel. So they named the kernel Zircon. And this was going to pair with Fuchsia OS. So hearing now that Google is interested in updating Tensor-based Pixel devices, so that's the Pixel 6 all the way up to future Pixels, hey, that's great. You want to update the kernel, it's going to yield faster responses, and the fluidity is going to be there. Now, I can't say the fluidity is going to be like how some people describe iOS and iPhones, but it may be, or it may surpass that. I know that it would yield better battery life if executed properly. It would yield better battery life. We would get much better battery life. That means that my Pixel 7, can get a newfound life of its battery. Now, the Pixel 7's battery is not shit. I'm gonna say that, but it's not the best because my Pixel 5, my Pixel 5a can outlast my Pixel 7. Right? That has pretty huge battery and just how it sips on it. So, I'm thinking that with all these things that Google's trying to do, because obviously they're trying to make Android smarter, they're implementing a lot of AI into Android. They're having these implementations of AI features based in specifically for Google Pixel devices. So they need a bridge between software and hardware in order for these things to be, sent and reciprocated faster than what they currently have. Linux 5.15 or whatever kernel base that we're on right now, it's not terrible, but it is part of the reason why some people have way different experiences with Google Pixel phones. You hear people talk about, I have the Pixel 7, it's amazing. You hear other people talk about, I have the Pixel 7 and it's garbage, hot garbage. There's all these things that happen when it comes to the, to the Pixel devices, and it's because you got some that's released with 5.5, you got some released with 5.15, so again, getting software to communicate with hardware, that is a quintessential core life of any smartphone. it's just not possible to have one without the other. You need the software to speak to the hardware so it can pretty much tell the hardware what to do, how to execute this photo when you're about to snap the photo, what settings of the photo you're going to take, how it should be sipping on your battery or pulling on your battery, depending on what you're doing with your phone. All of that is linked through the kernel. So if Zircon is supposed to be like 10 times faster than Linux-based kernels, why aren't they using it? That's my question to Google. That's my ultimate question to Google is why not? Is there a flaw in your build for the Zircon mobile kernel? Norton N30 is $20 on Metro PCS. Worth it, 40, 50 watt charger alone, I guess. 5A, what's a nice combination of battery and low power consumption chip? Yeah, I mean the 765G chip was good at sipping on battery, and that can only be how many people say like, oh yeah, it's well optimized. Android's well optimized to this chip. Yeah, it's the kernel. It's the kernel they're talking about. The kernel has always played that role. It's just the kernel never gets its shine. It never gets its recognition for all its hard work, right? It's that employee at a big chain that busts his ass and does all the work, but never really gets employee of the month, right? That's the kernel. And I was reading all these articles about it, and I think hey, it's great, because that also will help with longevity for the Pixel 6, for the 7, for the 8, for the 9, and future Pixel devices. Longevity. Okay, there are certain reasons why certain smartphones cannot be updated to the latest versions of Android, and it's going to be based on the kernel and how the software would, communicate with the hardware. And if the newer software is unsupported by the older kernel, you're just going to have such a bad experience, right? It's like putting a fresh, powerful battery inside of an electronic device with a super outdated processor chip that would fry once all that current is giving it power. Boom, done. This is why that some Android devices, as people love to always ask questions, why can't they just up the Google, the upgrade of Google Pixel 2 XL to Android 14? Why not? Why not? Why not? That's part of the reason why. Now, it is kind of sad that older Pixel devices like the 5A and older are not going to be supported in this. This is only based on Tensor powered Pixel devices. And there's a good reason for it, obviously. Google in-house, right? Google has no control over Qualcomm chips. And adaptability. They don't have control over that. But they do have control over the Tensor chip and its adaptability. So they can always take a Pixel 6, 6A, 7, 7A, 8, 8A, 9, 9A, and future Pixel devices. They can always take those and continue, right? Remember Google's project where they wanted to have like super old Android devices run like new? So they created which really didn't do the trick, but they created, Android Go, right? You all remember Android Go? You might have found them on like cheap $25 tablets and maybe like, $35 phones from like outside the US. Android Go was meant to be able to bring life back to underpowered devices that had, less than 32 gigabytes of storage and less than 1 gig of RAM, right? So it could have like a gig of RAM, it could have 512 megabytes of RAM, and it was supposed to breathe new life to it, but obviously that did not work. I've actually flashed Android Go on a more powerful phone, and man, was that thing like lickety split fast. But of course, it had limitations. They cut out a lot of things in Android to try to make it adaptable to something that was very underpowered. So, in hindsight, with all of this, that's my biggest question to them is why not the Zircon kernel? What's wrong with the Zircon kernel? What is it? If it is 10 times faster than a Linux-based kernel, why aren't we using it? And I don't want to sit there and say that it's because it's only made for Fuchsia OS. Like, no, no, it's actually not just made for Fuchsia only, because Fuchsia the operating system, the file setup and everything like that, and just the user interface and all that. It is different. As a matter of fact, almost everyone who follows tech has seen Fuchsia before Fuchsia was even told that it was being developed. You guys may have seen it once or twice. You guys may have seen a YouTube video where a guy says installing, Ubuntu on, Samsung Galaxy S10 or, on a Redmi Note, whatever. I don't know. I don't follow Redmi phones at all, but I know that they exist, and I know people love to flash Ubuntu Mobile OS on it. And Ubuntu, the way that it's designed, is very similar to Fuchsia. How crazy is that? Very similar to Fuchsia. Hopefully the update will stop my 7 Pro from overheating like a trash bin on fire during. Have you ever tried connecting your 7 Pro and going through the repair tool? Just out of curiosity, Brian, have you ran it through the repair tool from Google, like the Pixel repair tool, and see if maybe that might help? Because what that does is it completely takes everything out of the phone and then re-flashes all the image, system image, recovery image, the bin, all that stuff gets reflashed back in. And maybe that might fix the issue of what it's going through. As far as it, overheating and stuff like that, definitely a new kernel would definitely do it. Because here's the thing. Back in the day when I used to flash custom ROMs on Android devices that I had, and I was very addicted to doing that. Like there wasn't a single day that my Galaxy S2 Epic 4G Touch stayed on a single ROM. Like I would flash a ROM, I would set it all up, sign into all my apps and everything like that, play around with the phone, get on XDA. Oh no, there's a new ROM out. I've got to have it. Download it. Go through the whole flashing process. I have flashed multiple custom ROMs on different devices that I own. I had the HTC Evo V4G on Virgin Mobile, which was basically the HTC Evo 3D. And I really liked that phone. Of course, when you turn on 3D mode, it would kill the hell out of your battery. But there was one kernel that was for that phone. And they developed it for other devices, but the one that I downloaded and used was for that phone. And hopefully YouTube doesn't have a stick up their butt, because the word was recognized because people were getting envelopes in the mail that supposedly had this powder substance inside of it that was dangerous. And the person who developed the kernel named the kernel after it, which is Anthrax. The kernel's name was Anthrax, and it was it made my phone so fucking fast. It was unbelievable. Like if I think about it now and how my HTC Evo 3D responded and how smooth, and man, this thing was so super fluid and probably beyond eons away. And I'm like, holy crap, this kernel kicks major ass when I installed it. So what it was I had CyanogenMod 9 to start out with. I flashed the Anthrax kernel along with that. After that, I switched the ROM itself and went in with, I think it was Paranoid Android. Is it Paranoid Android? I forgot. I know it was based on Jelly Bean. It was a Jelly Bean ROM. What up, Coffee? And so, the Anthrax kernel itself just made the phone so hella fast. I mean, you see these tutorials on YouTube and everywhere else when they talk about, oh yeah, you can make your Android phone look faster by going into developer options and going to animations and turning the animation scales down to 0.5 or turning them off. And it makes your phone look fast and responsive. Yeah, it does visually. But without messing with any of those settings and the Anthrax kernel in there, my phone was as fast, if not faster, if you turned off all animations. How crazy is that? That's how important a kernel is in a smartphone. That's how important it is. It will basically allow your software to talk to your hardware and perform the things that it's supposed to perform, it's supposed to do. So again, my question back to Google, because the way Google described the Zircon kernel that was built for Fuchsia OS almost sounds like they just basically adopted the Anthrax kernel and made it their own. And like, I'm interested because the Zircon kernel is not Linux based. It's not Linux based at all. And to a lot of people out there who really kind of dive deep into, you know, the mobile OS and everything like that, Linux based kernels are obsolete in their minds. I've had people argue with me about how obsolete a Linux based kernel is. And it may be, you know, compared to what there is out there, but it's still getting the job done with today's current Android lineups. And you know, to hear that they're going to go with, you know, a 2-year-old kernel, which is Linux 6.1, which came out in 2022, when there's already one that came out in 2023 of October, which was Linux 6.6. If not going to the Zircon kernel, why not going with the newer? Because once this kernel is updated on these Tensor-powered Pixel devices, it is, and they can actually get more longevity out of them. They can, if they want to. Are they going to? I doubt it. I don't think they want somebody staying on a Pixel 6 for 7 years. I think they want people to upgrade. So, you know, we heard that the Pixel 8 got what, like 5 or 7 years of software support, plus security patch updates. Yeah. Anyways, that is just my quick thoughts about it. Like, shout out to Google for wanting to do this. That's great. You know, I appreciate it. I got right now almost every one of the Tensor based Pixels. I don't have the 8 or 8 Pro or the upcoming 8A if Google continues to do the A series. I don't have those, but I have the 6, the 6A, the 7, and the 7A. I have those. So I would love for my Pixel 7 to remain up to date, my Pixel 7a to remain up to date. The same with the 6a and the 6. The 6a is, I love that phone. I love that phone. I gave my 7a to my wife. She has it. But I love the A series devices. I really do. More than I actually enjoy the, you know, well, not more than I enjoy the flagships. I just like them more than the flagships. And that's really, you know, just because of the shortcuts that they make to make the phone affordable, you know, I think is well and great. You know, the flagship, like the Pixel 7, you know, great phone. I can tell you guys that it's a great phone, but I never bought the phone. You guys did. Those that know were the ones that were involved that bought this phone for me and sent it to me in October of 2022. So the Pixel 6 I bought, the 6a and the 7a I bought. So yeah, grab another one, dude. Grab another. Didn't you? Yeah, because the 7a device that, not 7a, the 6a device that my dad has, yeah, BTEC is the one that gave that to me. I gave it to my dad. Yeah, the mid-ranges on Motorola are fine. I wonder if this is going to trickle down in the future, if this is going to trickle down to non-Pixel devices. I am very curious too. I'm very curious on how the AA is going to be. You know, I'm hoping that they're not going to do the same thing they did with the 7A and the 7, right? Because the 7A and the 7 was only $100 difference, and there was very minor differences between the two. I think the most notable was size. Size was like the most notable difference between them. And then of course the body build, that's it. So, but yeah. Got the 6A, the best one I ever had so far. Nice. Welcome in, man. I got like a few minutes left before I end the live stream. I got a couple things I need to take care of. I should have snagged the 6A when they were on Metro by T-Mobile. I'm pretty sure you could probably find one, at least at a decent price. But I mean, if you're gonna go after the 6A, no reason to get the 7A because they're pretty much similar, except for the chip, Tensor G1, Tensor G2. If you're going for the Pixel 7A, no reason to get the Pixel 6A. Well, wait, there is a difference between the 6A and the 7A. One major difference, and that's the camera sensor, right? The Sony IMX363 camera sensor, which is a 12.2 megapixel shooter in the 6A. On the 7A, that's bumped up. That's it is a Sony It is a Sony sensor, not a Samsung, but it's a 64 megapixel sensor. And I think the 7A's camera sensor does a better job than the camera sensors that's in the Pixel 7. Like, I compare photos between my 7 and the photos that my wife takes with their 7A, and the 7A just looks better. The big problem I have with the 7 is the autofocus. The autofocus goes in and out when I take a photo, and it gets annoying sometimes. You think the federal government is going to approve a budget to continue funding ACP? No, I don't think so. I don't think so, and here's the reason why. You have a lot of carriers that is going to this $25 unlimited, whether it's 30 gigabytes throttled or deprioritized, doesn't matter. You got a lot of carriers that's going to it, right? Mobile X does have a $25 plan. Boost Mobile has a $25 plan. Boost Infinite Postpaid has a $25 plan. Believe it or not, Metro by T-Mobile has a $25 unlimited plan. It was a promotion that was running for people that newly ported over, but it was also a retention tactic that Metro used. If you called in, which I did, I called in and I was going to cancel my son's Metro by T-Mobile line. And I told him I can get him on Boost Infinite for $25. So the lady was like, we have a $25 promotion. Let me see if you're approved for it. She checked with her manager, was approved, because that account with Metro by T-Mobile has been active for 3 or 4 years now. 4 years. So they were like, you're a loyal customer. We're going to give you the $25 unlimited plan. It doesn't come with hotspot. You can't use hotspot on it. But my son really doesn't use a hotspot. So he got his phone line at $25, and then paired with the home internet, which is $50. When I have auto pay on, I only pay $75 a month for home internet and one phone line. So he's golden. But yeah, Metro does have a $25 plan. So everything's going to a $25 price point. What's the point of having people apply to get ACP? Because none of these carriers that have a $25 plan will allow you to use your ACP discount. Right? When I was working for Boost Infinite, that's like 60% of my calls was people yelling at me because they want to sign up for Boost Infinite. They want that $25 plan, and then they want to add their ACP discount because they were approved because they had Medicaid or food stamps or whatever. And it's like, I got to break the news. And I'm like, this plan is heavily discounted already. We're not giving anyone any ACP credit on these plans. So I know that the last date you have to sign up for the ACP is February 7th this year. If you're up for your annual renewal for ACP, you have one last time to renew, because it looks like that everything as far as ACP discounts is going to shut down in 2026. If ACP ends, I will have to switch to consumer cellular to get the most data for the least amount of money. Yeah, I like Xfinity Mobile. Yeah, I know. I mean, some people are gonna get mad, but then again, when you think about it, where do you think the funding for the ACP comes from? It doesn't come from the president's pocket. He's not going around saying, "Hey, I have millions in the bank. Let me fund these people's phones." It's actually taken out of our paychecks. So I mean, if you have a job, you're working, you're actually paying for your own discount anyways. They tax you out of it. Other phone carriers like Verizon that have those extra fees that people hate. Taxes, surcharges, additional fees. Those additional fees funds the ACP. That's where it comes from. It's always has. The Obama phones that people call them, which is just basically the government handed phones where you get either unlimited talk and text, or you get like 500 talk, 500 text, and then they say you have unlimited data, but when you get on there, like Q-Link, your speed is like below 1 megabit. Yeah, those are funded by people's phone bills. When you have a phone service and you pay taxes and fees and surcharges, that's what funds it. Yeah. Yeah, I've been around for a long time. I remember my friend had a flip phone from US Cellular. And his mom and him got into an argument with the people where they applied for food stamps and free medical, because the mom was trying to get 2 phone lines, one for her, one for her son. And the lady there was like trying to tell him, like, you can only get one line per household. So, you know, two people on the same address can't have one of those free government phones with free service. Like, it's a good idea to like help people stay connected, but the problem is, and you guys probably saw Peter Adderton talk about it on Twitter quite a bit, but there are people who are abusing the ACP program. There are people who generally don't need it, but they sign up for it because it's going to make their phone bill cheaper so they can save money, but they absolutely don't need it. Originally, the ACP program was really, you know, it amplified the already free government assisted phones, right? Because the Q-Link line that, you know, my son is using, the Q-Link line that he has, it used to be unlimited talk and text, and I think the data would stop at 30 gigs. It would completely turn off if you use 30 gigs of data. That phone line can be used for data for consumptions beyond 30 gigs, won't get cut off. It won't go faster. Like if you put in an LTE phone, it's going to be speeds of like, you know, less than 1 megabit by less than 1 megabit. But if for some reason, if you throw it in a 5G device and it connects to the T-Mobile 5G, because that's what Q-Link uses as their network is T-Mobile, for like the first 10 days of your bill cycle, you can hit speeds over 100, 200, 300 megabits per second on the download and 100 on the upload. But if you keep speed testing that and you get to a certain point, then it slows back down to below a megabit per second speed. ACP will be out of money by April 2024 unless ACP gets an extension of funding. Yes. But again, you know, that would require them actually having to raise the taxes and fees on people's phone bills and taxes on your paycheck. I don't think people want to do that anymore, to be honest. I don't blame people. You know, honestly, and this is me, and people might hate me for this statement, and that's fine. I honestly feel like that the people that should be getting those free phones should be the people that are homeless, so they can stay in touch with family and friends, can call for emergency. I think that if you have a place to live, you're capable of going out to get a job, you shouldn't be given that credit. Go get a $25 plan with any one of the carriers that's offering a $25 unlimited. $25. Yeah. Every company has their way of doing it, how they disperse this credit onto your billing. You know, Comcast Xfinity does it one way. No. Because honestly, like there's a company, I don't even know if they do. Let me search it right now. Because there was a phone company that you can kind of get free service with them. What the hell were they called? Oh yeah. Let me see if they participate in the ACP program. Oh, they do. Use any of these programs, and you may be eligible. Medicaid, SNAP, WIC, Social Security insurance, free wireless service. If you qualify for the ACP, yeah, Freedom Pop does it. You'll get unlimited talk, text, and you'll get 10 gigabytes of high-speed internet each month for free. So, and I know Freedom Pop was very, very well popular because they used to offer free service, but the free service, I mean, yeah, it was very limited. It was like, I believe like 50 minutes of talk and 50 text messages and like 250 megabytes of data, and it was free. So like you barely use your phone, but then you can always like shop their plans. Surprised on how much Freedom Pop has changed. Purchase your phone, receive your setup kit, activate online when you're ready. They got the affordable connectivity program that they push now. So they kind of got rid of their free plan and just went with the ACP program. And if not, you can get a, 1 gigabyte high speed with unlimited talk and text for $10 a month, $30 for 10 gigs of high speed data. And that's the only plan. They don't offer anything beyond that. So Freedom Pop is really, I don't know. If Freedom Pop restructured their stuff, they can go after Mobile X and be their competitor. Text Now needs to do more advertisements so the homeless people can use it for free. Yeah, I think Text Now requires you to have like Wi-Fi access. If you want to have like actual native data access, you have to pay. That's the last I remembered when I ever even tried Text Now. I don't know if they changed it, because I remember if on the app they would have advertisements in the app, which was annoying as hell, and they would be like, pay this much a month and you'll have no advertisement in your message thread. And then it was like, if you want to use it off Wi-Fi, you had to pay like $10 to get a SIM card shipped to you. So they were selling the SIM cards in order for you to have native network connectivity. So yeah, it's crazy strange. I love how these sites love to use like an iPhone. Like, phone service with us for free, and yeah, this person's gonna be happy. Here, let me share this with you guys. I'm like describing it, and I can just literally share it with you guys. Boom. Like, she's super happy with her iPhone, and like this is the clickbait. Like in every provider site, this is the clickbait. Absolute clickbait. So let's just have all these people here. Let's take a picture of them and put these random ass phone numbers, act like they're all communicating each other by text messaging, being like 10 to 15 feet away from each other in this really drastically huge city park. That's enough to get people to like literally go in there. Some of us are handicapped, disabled. We'd be homeless if it was not for the government programs and our family. Rent, cost of living does not match our paychecks. Yep. I understand what you mean by that. But see, here's the thing, and you know what? I'm not talking out of my ass, so if people are going to be like, yo, you know what the fuck you're talking about, Tito? I'm classified as disabled. Type 2 diabetes is covered under disability. It is. Yet I can go up and get a job. See, that's the thing. Like, there are people that, you know, they have a disability, so they're gonna milk everything. Okay, I may sound like an asshole right now, but this is a reality of things. So they'll go and milk it. They can go out and get a job. Dude, I have a friend that gets like an annual check for SSD and has a full-time job as well. He gets $3,627 a month from the federal government for his disability, and then he's working a 9-to-5 job at Wally World, and then making like, you know, $1,300 every 2 weeks. Yes, everything, cost of living, you know, is very expensive. It wasn't that way several years ago. It is now, and all of us are affected by it, and we all know. Well, there are people who are in denial about who's responsible for it, but I'm sorry to say it, but you didn't see price hikes in gas and in food until this administration. And I ain't trying to be an asshole about it. That's just the reality of it. And now we're paying up the wazoo for stuff, and we even got rent and everything going up. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. There's people with disabilities, and I think it determines on the state of the disability, right? I can be considered disabled just based on my type 2 diabetes, but because I can get up and walk and I can get out my house and I can work remotely, is the reason why that basically, if I wanted to, I can't be approved for disability benefits. I don't have to go through years in court fighting with the state of Arizona before I'm granted that. And of course, if I did do it and I won, they would give me back payments. But I've seen people fight for disability for 15 years and then finally get it accepted. So they get a back payment from 15 years ago up until current. But I mean, can you really survive 15 years? Because if the moment that you even go out and get a job to sustain your living, you destroy your whole case on disability. You destroy it, because they'll just be like, you went and got a job. So, but I think like the absolutely free, and maybe the ones that can't work a 9-to-5 job because of their disability, those would be the ones that I would say, yeah, okay, free phone service, but not free phone service where you're gonna have the data to stream video games, right? Because again, these phones were only meant for people to have them for connecting for cases of emergency and to be able to send documents that they need. It doesn't take a lot of data to send an email. It doesn't take a lot of data to send a text message or to send an RCS message or to send an iMessage. It does not. The only benefit of having super fast blazing 5G speeds, the only benefit that will benefit it is online gaming because of the latency. Online gaming and downloading huge media files. Damn, dude. Yeah, dang, I feel for you, man. I'm sorry. Say, I know what it is for me. Like when I was sitting in bed because of my peripheral neuropathy and my legs were barely moving, I couldn't even qualify for temporary disability. Yeah, so I mean, but we're not gonna get into this whole political government jargon thing. I think we pretty much got to that point where I am gonna go ahead and let you guys go. Enjoyed you guys being here, being very engaging, sharing your thoughts and opinions. As always, this is a safe haven to speak your mind. I do not care what side of the fence you stand on in any subject matter whatsoever. You are always welcome to share your thoughts. I always enjoy reading other people's thoughts and opinions. So, yeah. I just don't condone bitching on chats, fighting with people and cursing them and cursing their pets and hoping bad things. That's what gets you banned off my live streams. But if you want to tell me that you support a politician, you support a religion or whatever, go ahead. You know, you guys are free to speak on here. Nothing is taboo other than personal attacks and sickening stuff. So you too, Brian, have a great weekend. I appreciate that. That made me feel good right now. Thanks. I appreciate that. I was kind of a little bummed out on some certain things. So just, hearing stuff like that always makes me happy. Oh yeah, not a problem. I appreciate you for coming through and watching. You could be doing anything else right now. You chose to put me on your phone or your computer, laptop, or whatever you're watching me on. And I really appreciate that. You too. Be blessed out there, Michael. Stay safe. Gadget Beard. I hope you had a great time at CES, man. And when it's over and you're traveling back, safe travels back home, buddy. Get home safely. Hopefully CES was amazing. I love the flying taxi that they showed. I've been watching a little bit of CES coverage, and then I'll eventually talk about what I liked about it. You guys are the family. You guys are my family. So, all right, guys. Happy Friday. Enjoy your guys' weekend as well, and be safe out there. This world's crazy. So, just, yeah. I love you guys very much. Bye. Well, of course he did. He lives in Vegas. Peace out, everyone.